What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Outcast Haven podcast. We are here for episode number 22. We are going to talk some DBS tonight. I am joined by our typical band of misfits. I have Mr. Berg.
Hello.
He's always so just lowest energy possible.
Hello.
Robert, Captain Laggy.
Captain Laggy, can't read, can't internet, ban God ceiling.
And Nichols is here.
What's going on, guys?
Let's get this party started. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first topic we want to talk about tonight is just the current meta. I wanted to see what you guys thought about how things are going after some tournaments and different things with Draft Box 6. Do you think there have been changes with the expansions now out and that kind of stuff? So let's start. Since the expansions and the Draft Box, do you guys see like a change at all in the meta, or do you think things are pretty much what they were beforehand as far as power levels and tiers and stuff?
I think
I haven't noticed much of a change. Sorry, Dane.
No, you're good. You're good. Honestly, not really like too much of a change, but I do think that my fear of Broly has been just reaffirmed with the whole Piccolo Unison and King Piccolo package that's now running rampant in Broly decks. So
Broly's best
admittedly,
second
I'm the
format.
one that plays it on the team, right? But still, I think that the meta could do without that deck probably.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think what's scary about it is like the fact that like the Piccolo thing is scary, right? Like that helps the deck and it ticks up really fast. To Dane's point, he called that 100%. I was like, we'll see. Like, I don't know if it's better than Kale, and Dane's like, it's better than Kale, and I was like, okay. I think like that kind of makes sense now. Like after having seen it, I'm like, okay, yeah, Dane definitely saw that one. I should have trusted the guy who played the deck, obviously. But I think what scares me more about that deck is watching somebody. I watched someone play it online, just like watched a casual or something. And in one turn, somebody crit somebody, dropped Bardock the Resolute. They had the Unison out with 3 markers, so they dropped the King Piccolo that goes to warp at the end. And then after all of that, they're like, oh, by the way, man on a mission. And I was like, yeah, no, that ain't good. That ain't good.
Stop that.
It's yeah,
You're
like
Broly,
the
Vajixing
first-
over there.
yeah, right. Like you can't. There's nobody in the world who can tell me that's healthy for the meta, right? That a deck is that, and really, the only reason that deck isn't a problem deck is because the TP is damn near impossible to get your hands on right now.
Yeah.
So very few people have access to the TP to play it that broken.
Mhm.
Yep.
Deck is by far best second format. Like, I know it gets beaten by Vegex, but the issue is Vegex gets beaten by a lot more stuff. So people don't like playing Vegex. And I think that the deck is just, it originally, when the promo was announced, was like, all right, best deck. And then Draft Box 6 came out, and you're like, oh, shoot, the gap is widening, and it's
Oh, it
widening
gets 2
pretty quick.
overwhelms now. That's cool.
Mhm.
What it feels like is basically like it feels like it has the potential if the TP gets too easily accessible. I think what we could have on our hands is U3 all over again.
Well, and the problem is too is
Where-
like I'm running 2 TPs, right? And that's it. And I'm still like, it's like, okay, guess I'm just gonna crush a little less consistently. But it's like you're still getting 2 chains. You're still like everything is still happening for the most part, even with 2 TPs. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think that yeah.
Yeah, I get concerned that we're gonna have the Vegex U3 issue all over again, where we don't just have like a tier 0, like it actually elevates itself to like above tier 0. It's like tier 0 means that it's the best deck in the format undeniably. The problem is if the TP goes too, it is too accessible, it almost has this feeling of like just a completely unbeatable deck. Like what beats it enough consistently enough to actually make it worth playing anything but Broly if you want to win? And then what world does it, what world do we live in that we actually want to just sit around and watch Broly mirrors all day?
Yes. Broly, super strong. It did get stronger, but I think that there are ways to beat it. So again, I think Vegex has a pretty good matchup into it, but I also think that Blake, when you play Sin Shenron, if you can get up your Vegeta Unison or your 9 drop out fast enough, it's a hard shutdown. So there are counters to the Broly deck, which I think is helpful. Which I think is why it probably won't take over, because I know Sin Shenron's pretty strong into the field as well, and so is Vegex. So there's just some other decks where, yeah, Broly's going to stomp blue, which I hate, which is good. So like keep all the blue out, and then I'll go up against Broly's all day instead of blue because blue sucks, right? So I'm okay with that. So it's the lesser of two evils for me. It is a strong deck. It is fast, but Vegex can kind of keep up, and it's a decent matchup for it. So I don't mind it too much, and as long as it keeps God Sealing Technique away, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it
So,
kind of seems. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so here's my question, and I guess this would be like, I'd be curious what you guys' thoughts are. My issue is this, right? Even if it's not tier 0, is it healthy in the game? Because it will be one of those, it has the potential to be one of those format warping decks.
Yeah,
It's not healthy. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it's not healthy.
yeah, I think it's gonna be really similar to. So I had this thought earlier. Like, I think that Broly, if it isn't tier 0, it's because it beats itself. It's not because there's decks that give it a run for its money. It's because it consistently is inconsistent enough to not be like the top deck in tournaments. It misses its pieces. Like, even with the TP Broly, like, you can still just not see your Man on a Mission, Bardock the Resolute, or you know what I mean? Like, you can just miss the stuff that you can't Vampa for, and just like not put on the extreme aggression you need into some matchups. And I think that that's going to be what stops it from being like the true dominant tier 0, like what Vegix was with U3, right? Like, it just, there's enough of inconsistency built into what the deck wants to do to be tier 0 that it's not going to get there. So it's a little bit of a saving grace, but how much of a saving grace is that really? Like, looking at like a bigger, this was like the meta discussion that I wanted to get into before I got distracted. But like, looking at it from an outside perspective, I think it's not going to be tier 0, but for the wrong reason. Like, because it was given all the toys. It's like, stop giving it toys now. Let it just be its inconsistent self. But okay, so that being said too, like, it's still consistent. It's just that I don't think it's tier 0 consistent like Vegix was with U3.
I think my concern, right, is that for me personally, I think, again, I tend to lean a little more towards Robert. My bad matchup as a Sin player is often blue, because blue has so many counterplays and interrupts so many things and floodgates me, and I have to worry about the fact that I can't kill the Unison and get the Unison offline for God Sealing. So I risk tap 6, draw 6, or draw 7 kind of thing, which is not what I want to do in the deck. So not seeing a lot of God Sealing personally makes me happy. I don't like the idea of a color being pushed out of a format because a deck exists. If blue just can't survive Broly's onslaught turn 1 and turn 2, and it effectively is a 1090 matchup into Broly, that's not good for the game, because to push full colors out of a meta because they don't have a deck that beats it, because here's the reality, right? We can say like, well, yellow has a good matchup, but we know yellow doesn't. We know Sin has a good matchup. We can say black has a good matchup, but it's not black, it's Vegex. So if only 2 decks have a good matchup, it's warping a format to make it to where you're not seeing a triangle format where you have a few decks in each piece of the triangle. What you're seeing is like Vegex beats Broly, Sin beats Broly, Broly beats everything else. Nothing else exists, so those two just kind of ping back and forth, and then your mid-range decks are kind of pushed out of the format because they get mowed down by Broly, and then they should handle control, but they get mowed down by Broly, so control never sees them, and then Vegex just kind of exists in its own little world. And I just think, like, for me personally, I don't like the idea of like colors or strategies being pushed out because Broly can be problematic for them. And also even something as simple, right, as even if we say, okay, well, blue can match up into them, does blue have to tech so hard against Broly in a best of one meta that it now loses its ability to play into like Sin and Vegex as much?
My question is, what do you side versus Broly?
Or I guess my
I mean,
question is
more
build
one
off
cost
Berkey's question is in a best of 3, does it change, right? So we're talking meta because it's a best of 1 meta now, but would anything change if it's a best of 3? So maybe they designed it with the best of 3 in mind. I have no idea.
I think the only thing that changes in best of 3 is you just side in 4 Dark Power Black Mass Saiyans and move on. But I don't think that stops the deck.
I think this conversation shouldn't even be happening because we should just stop all competitive play for the 2 years that we're going to be in lockdown, and then since none of it matters anyways and it's all fake, we should just probably not compete at all.
Shout out to the Hell group.
Yeah.
Online best of ones are no value.
I want to be the Krillin deck representative.
Can I be the Yeah. I would like to be known as the guy who plays Trader Dende. I want to be the Trader Dende representative. That'll be my.
So would that just be Dende?
I get
no, because I have to. Dane and I would have to split Dende. I'll take.
I get Dende, right? I get the blue Dende. Oh, we'll put that. We'll put out that gameplay video, but that's okay.
We'll co-Dende.
We'll co-Dende.
Is that like co-parenting?
Yes. Yeah. I just think like it could be problematic, especially if the access to the TP is too high.
We totally went on the Snark Highway.
Oh, we're keeping the Snark, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's totally fine.
Sweet.
So
choo choo, fucking all aboard.
So do you think here's I guess the last question when it comes to meta is the finals tournament is this weekend. Do you think in the webcam finals, do you think anything sneaks in? Obviously, somebody online said Harudegarn's definitely winning the thing. So we know Harudegarn's going to win it, but is anything else going to creep into the tournament?
Not going to win it.
I think Broly's on. I think it's either going to be Broly or Sin. I'm sorry, Rob. I don't think Vegex is going to win.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You demoralize me on a daily basis.
I hope SS3 shows up. I do hope SS3 actually shows up.
You suck. Die.
Robert
Die.
just needs another. Robert just needs one more Savant day. He just needs to have another Savant day like he did at the weekend tournament. Like he's been playing. It was so funny. I was telling Robert, this is a little tangent. I can cut it if I need to. But there's a book that just came out that I'm reading. It's the Stormlight Archive, and there's a character in it who wishes for the capacity to like end this like grand evil that's happening in the world, right? And this other old god gives him the power and basically makes him like an uber genius, like knows everything, can see the future, like whatever. And then after that, in recompense for that, he gets 1 day of like godly knowledge, and then after that he's just drooling on himself, like just super stupid, like, and then it kind of goes back and forth, but never again is he that smart, and it just kind of levels out until he's just kind of perpetually stupid. And I feel like that's what happened with Robert, the way he's
they didn't tell me that like the final level wasn't normal. The final level was
the final
just
level
like
was like slightly more
just
dumb.
stupid.
Like, this is your punishment for like wishing for godly knowledge.
Robert's oh god, what's his name at MHA? The electric guy.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Kinemari.
Robert had a day. He went full power. He used all his energy, and the next day he was just like,
Dude, it was true. I couldn't play for like 2 days. You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm tired.
Oh,
just on that limitless hangover. All right.
So wrapping it back, I think my thought is right. I think in the tournament. Oh, he's lagging again. So I think in the tournament, I think the issue. So if Vegex wins, it's Robert, because I don't know that anybody else is playing Vegex. I know there's at least 2 of us playing Sin.
Dude, there's gonna be so many people playing Vegex.
Yeah, there's gonna be a few.
Is there though? Did any other Vegex like make the webcam finals?
One person won with Vegex.
Vegex has been
one of the
consistently
webcams.
topping.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's been topping. I didn't know if it was topping like the webcam events.
Yeah, someone won with Vegex.
Because I know, like, you know, Eddie and Duvall have been winning.
Oh shoot, I forgot about one deck. I think Gohan is got a shot at winning the Turn My Leader Sideways deck.
So here's the issue with Gohan in this event is that Gohan probably doesn't get free wins because you're not playing somebody who's like, yeah, it's my first time I've ever played in an event because they have a webcam and they just signed up for the packs. These are all earned spots. So the chances are everybody in this thing, basically, as long as they don't draw horribly, there's a chance that they win because they know the deck and they know what to do when, versus like Gohan sometimes just mowing down randos who just don't know what the deck does. And they're like, yeah, I've never played. What does that deck do? And they're like, triple crit. And they just go, what?
Blake, what
Meanwhile, I enjoy my cup of glue and my crayon snack. Again, shout outs to the Hell Group for that gem.
Which, by the way, I'm making a Gohan deck. So every time Bergie crushes my soul, I'll be like, hey,
He's
can I test
gonna
this new deck?
play. There's a counter. He's gonna make a counter. It's like, how many times do I get payback?
Yeah, that's right.
How many times do I play this before
I'm
Bergie gets has to go do something?
I can only lose to Fergie like 6 times in a row, and then I gotta go take a break because my brain
Today it
hurts.
was 7, so I mean,
I won
like
the
that
first
Bergie
one.
counts.
Thank you very much. Yeah, take that.
What do you guys think is going to top? And do you think anything gets in that we haven't seen before? Do you think something is affected by Draftbox enough to get in, or do you think the Draftbox had little to no effect other than Broly?
Little to no effect.
Little to no effect.
Other than
I think
Broly.
SS3 might show up because there are some people out there who are playing it. It's fun.
Well,
That's
no,
great.
he's going to a
but
wedding.
that's cool. So the rest of the episode is basically going to be dedicated to what we see coming. So we know that in January we have set 12 coming, and we know that with that is going to come the ultimate deck. So I want to know, do you guys have any speculation on what the ultimate deck is going to be?
The box has Toa on it, so I'm assuming Toa support, which would be pretty cool. The deck
feel
looks like fun.
Toa can be the ultimate deck,
Yeah.
right? Like, you
I
can build
do think
any
it could
deck,
be.
any leader for the ultimate deck. Toa?
What if they did Hercule Leader as the ultimate deck, just as a big?
But here's
dead?
the issue, though, is that if you look at the picture on the box, I have it pulled up right now on their website, and it's Toa. Like the leader that they're showing is Toa. There's no doubt about it.
Will it be black
So
Toa though? They could do some other color, which would be interesting.
Toa.
The issue is like
The
Toa
10
is.
burst Vegex ultimate deck.
I mean,
I
but,
mean, if they're going to
like,
do anything that makes people even remotely interested in buying the deck, it needs to be better than Vegex.
If it's gonna be black,
especially
yeah.
if it's a black deck, it's gonna have to beat Vegex. Although it's all silver foil,
Which is cool.
you buy
Imagine reprint opportunities in that.
You buy a foil deck. I mean, right?
That's
Shine
pretty
Life.
amazing.
Shine
Yeah,
Life
that's a good
straight out the
deal.
box.
But I feel like that's dirty because, like, for $16, you're going to get a fully foiled deck. Like,
It's
you know how much
20 bucks.
You know how much I spent on? Sorry, I'm on Game Nerds. Support your local game store. Don't buy on Game Nerds. Yada yada.
I'm on Game
Well, I
Nerds
just-
right now.
Buy from NCE instead.
Don't be like Robert.
But I'm just saying, like, yo, man, how much money I spent for this Shine Life, and I'm gonna have people roll and be like, "Look at my shiny deck." I don't.
Imagine
I mean, the
if it was something like blue, where it just came with beans and D Magic's shiny.
So, but I guess here's the question though, right? Is like, what happens when you open the deck and they're like, it's the ultimate deck. It's a structure deck that you can play right out of the box. And then people play, they're like, this is whack. There's like 20 good cards in here, like Vegex. Like they got 20 good cards. You just dump the rest for other things. And you immediately just rebuild the deck anyway. Because let's be honest, like I guess that's the struggle with the ultimate deck that makes me curious. They say it's for returning players. That's how they're advertising it, is have you been out of the game, come back and buy this and you'll be competitive. The issue is as much as good players will play the best deck, if it's the best deck, they probably play it. The problem is good players also take pride in building the best deck, right? Like that most people want to have some hand in it, and not just because if you buy this deck and then you win a tournament with it, you're immediately going to lose credibility to most of the community, whether it's fair or not, because you won it. That's what players are.
I've never subscribed to that, for the record. I
Yeah.
would just like to
Yeah,
go on
same.
record and saying
No.
that net decking as a negative thing, I think shouldn't exist. But that's just
Right, and I'm not saying I think that. I think if you play like good deck is good deck, right? If you're a good, you got to pilot it still.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
but like I think there are a lot of players that would would ascribe to the theory that if you play this deck and people just say this is the best deck, you go buy it, take it out of the box and play it and win a tournament. I think a lot of people have an aversion to that because of their concern that there's that feeling in the community that like buying a box and winning would be a negative thing.
Well, first, screw the scrubs who would have an issue with that because they're scrubs anyway. They're just jealous. Number two is I think that with all of the archetypes that they've built in the last two sets, as well as even the Vegex and the Vegito starters, I think that any one of those models where, okay, make it so I don't have to buy two starters, like that'd be a great start. You know what I mean? But like to foil it out. But that's me again. But if you bought one starter and you had the core of 35, 40 cards, and you can change up the other ones, so like if they made Dark Broly instead of being in the set and they just put it into a starter deck, I think a lot of people would have bought that and played Dark Broly. If they did Gogeta, Red Broly, Gotenks, there's just a lot of archetypes that they built, Sin Shenron, that they couldn't put in a starter. And that's what I'm honestly hoping, that they're like, okay, we took an archetype, we were going to put it in set 12. Instead, we took it out and we're going to sell it as a starter deck. Like, I'd be totally cool with that because a lot of their archetypes that they've released recently are actually really strong and people enjoy playing them. So I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have a deck that's pretty viable. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't 2 to 4 or 8, 10 cards that people want to change out, right? Because if you built like a Shadow Dragon deck, I think the question is, are they going to put SRs in the deck? Because
I think
that's typically right where starters are going to probably, because they've never put anything but starter cards and starter decks. So, and there are obviously reprints a lot of times, but I'm saying like they never put an SR into a starter deck. So
I think they would just make it a starter rare, and that's the only way you can get it. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but I can see it being a plus that like, you can have the bare bones of the deck in there. Like Vegex doesn't run any SRs, I don't think. It's got promos for Reluctant.
Demigra.
If you run Demigra.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bergie. All right. It runs 2 SRs. You happy now? You happy?
I will say, Robert convinced me of his Demigra
the most expensive cards.
I reduced it down to 2, Dane.
Did you? It made sense to me. After you explained it, I was like, okay, that actually makes sense.
It's just the way that I play. I think that it's helpful. I want to overwhelm the first 2 turns, so
you convinced me.
I want to make sure I got it. I don't know. I actually think it'd be cool if they just took any archetype and put it in an ultimate deck, and I'd be okay with them calling it an ultimate deck. Vegex starter might have an issue just saying like, no, I'm the ultimate deck, but I think it being an archetype pre-built, ready to roll, because I think no one's going to take it and open the box for the tournament and go to the tournament. They're going to look at it. They're going to be like, all right, I would add this from draft box 4, draft box 5, draft box 6, that they're not going to put in there and throw it in there to make it better.
A little bit of an off-topic thing. I was looking at the page. The blue Gogeta from the Janemba Saga is in the pack. All right. Hooray. We are happy.
Yeah, that's set 12. We're getting to that, Bergie, but Bergie's got to take it off topic.
Dude, I'm excited and making sure people
the pack is in that location, I assume, because it's covering the leader up, because it keeps you from having any information on the leader. So I think the ultimate deck will be an interesting thing for the sake of just having hopefully a genuinely viable. I will say, I think that they did a really, really good job on starter decks in this last cycle, because while the Frieza hasn't seen a ton of play, people do play the Frieza because it's like the engine is solid and a lot of the pieces are decent paired with some good cards. Now, granted, Frieza needs more good stuff than like Vegex, but like Vegex and Vegito are good decks out of the box that get better with some promos and some pieces that you can buy, which is cool. Like the starters are actually relatively viable. I think you could play them at locals. When it comes to the set, do you guys have any sort of thoughts, any guesses as to what will be in it?
Well, I was originally on Blue Bardock, but now I want the Gogeta, now that I'm looking at the pack.
And what will set Gogeta do? Gotenks Yellow's already here.
No, like
But
to make it not
support for the
bad.
archetype.
Like, and support for
Yeah.
yellow in general. But yeah,
Well, I mean, so I guess the concern, right? Because I actually would like to see some support for Gotenks. The concern is that while I think it'd be cool, my
Don't take my
concern is that
argument.
they're going. What's that?
so don't you take my argument. I
No.
decided before I made that point to agree with Blake tonight, and then you're gonna flip it on me, and you're gonna take my argument
No.
against giving yellow good stuff. No, go ahead.
No, all I'm saying is my concern is that, like, while I really want yellow good stuff in general, because I do enjoy, I have enjoyed yellow as a color, starting with Sin and then playing some other stuff. My concern is that they're going to do too much yellow good stuff tied to Shadow Dragon Leader, and it's going to they're going to make really good yellow stuff, but only like a Shadow Dragon deck. That's my concern.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's fair.
Like I get concerned that, like, what we've talked about is, and the thing I want more than anything is a viable, and I know we talk about Nimbus as a quote unquote floodgate, but I think we all agree that Nimbus is pretty outdated, and especially in a competitive sense, like Nimbus is super outdated in a competitive world because people understand how to play around it. Always swing battle card first, you get 3 more. And it just feels bad to be playing the keep an energy standing to Nimbus, somebody who knows what they're going to do anyway. So, like, giving a floodgate to yellow that has some sort of effect where you have to rest a thing to swing or something like that, I think would be a reasonable request. My concern is that they're going to print it on, like, Nova Shenron and make it a dragon that goes into the Shadow Dragon Sin Shenron deck, and then the rest of yellow is just going to go, bruh, we're right here. Like, we're right here. Please, why do you hate us? And because it feels like Bandai has definitely done a really good job of being like, Sin is the yellow god. Oh, hey, here's Gotenks. Just kind of like moving right past Gotenks and being like, yeah, look at how good Sin is. And people are like, but what about Gotenks? They're like, here's some promos. You're like, but they're not good. The promos aren't good. Well, Sin's promos aren't good either. Yeah, but everything else for Sin is really good. Like, Sin doesn't need good promos. Like, Gotenks is like that. It's like that 2.5 Men thing where they're sitting at the table. It's like, I feel like I forgot. Like, it's like Bandai sitting at the table. Like, I feel like I forgot something. They're like, and it's the kid standing in the rain, and it's like Gotenks support. It's like, well, if you forgot it, it's probably not that important. Like, it's just Gotenks was just standing in the rain, like,
Yikes. So I just was checking the website. That booster box with the picture of Bardock and Goku and Gohan on it, that's set 13, not 12. 12 has the blue Janemba Gogeta. So I'm assuming that's gonna be the blue deck of this set, and then the next set will probably be blue Bardock.
No, the blue deck of this set 12 is gonna be Turles.
It better
they've
be
already
Gogeta.
released. They've shown Turles stuff.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be Turles.
So it's probably that, but I think it's gonna be Rainbow, man. They're gonna bring some rainbow love. They're gonna have
a rainbow leader.
A rainbow leader.
It is
blue.
interesting. Yeah, it is interesting that they've done a little bit, right, in the last, like, ever since Draft Box 5, they've kind of sprinkled a little bit of rainbow along the way, where it's like, hey, we have a unison, and we have the strength of legends, and we've got these Dragon Balls that are all different colors that can be hunted by Meki, and he's black, so he could be played in any deck. And it's like, are you building to something? Are we getting to the mega rainbow super deck?
That's what the ultimate deck is. It's actually Toa, black, and it's going to be Rainbow AF. And it's going to be...
that actually makes sense to me. Okay. I could
that would be kind of cool.
Well, Toa's got, on the expansion, she can draw the negative dragon... okay, I'm confused. Negative energy, parasitic Dragon Balls?
Parasitic Dragon Balls.
Because the negative ones are Sin Shenron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the parasitic Dragon Balls she can pull. So, Rainbow. I'm all in. So,
that would be cool.
Rainbow and Ultimate. It'd be interesting. Do you have any other guesses for this set? Do you guys have any? Like, I know they're talking about, like, they definitely have hinted heavily at, like, Meki Kabura being a big part of it, which makes me wonder what they'll lean into as far as, like, because they have done they have had these, like, little archetypes in this set. So they're obviously supporting You're obviously getting more support for Sin, but that does lend itself to potentially being good for Go tanks, because that's kind of in that same, like the teen Gohan, Goten and stuff. You're getting some of those, or Trunks and stuff like that. That fits fine in that archetype and that like that vibe of like GT and stuff. So the question is like, who else is a part of that, or what else are they going to
Janemba,
bring in? They
Xeno.
said.
There's a Xeno Janemba, so Turles might not be blue. It could be the Janemba versus Gogeta we saw from Miraculous Revival again,
but I thought they
better.
already revealed like a Turles, like a blue Turles, like the card was
I
blue.
don't believe there was a card revealed for the set yet.
No. Like I thought like a spoiler was like Turles, and it had like all the blue markings where you would see like a blue, like it was like the blue bar and stuff on the bottom.
I can check for that. But where would you find it, on the website or on YouTube?
I honestly, I don't even know where that would be, but I thought I saw that, but that's fine. It was just something I thought I saw, but it'll be interesting to see. I know that Omega Shenron's coming, which is pretty dope, and I'm curious if that is going to be a leader, like if there's going to be a new Shadow Dragon leader and have a potential of multiple decks, if it will be in the, like, if there will be an Omega Shenron unison that will be like another 4-cost unison for the Sin deck, or if Omega Shenron is going to be the like an SCR that's going to be Shadow Dragon specific. Which, if it is, I hope it's really tightly tied like the Gotenks one, so that I can like get it for super cheap like Gotenks, like the Gotenks one, because
That's
that would be
not why
dope.
Gotenks was super cheap. Gotenks was super cheap because it was trash. But
right, but it's also like
Gotenks deck. Yes, I do, because it's on theme and it's a bad deck anyways.
It's also pretty tightly tied, right, to the 15K. Like all the 15K bodies in that deck actually make it reasonable to play at a discount versus some other deck.
Oh yeah, you're not going to run that. Yellow good stuff.
I think part of I don't know if it's the issue or if it's on purpose. I can kind of see the argument for both. Like, not every deck has to be the same strength from a casual standpoint. So Bandai probably doesn't care that, Gotenks isn't as strong as Sin Shenron from a design perspective. They're like, hey, Gotenks is fun. It's got this cool mechanic. If you're playing at the kitchen table, like, it works just fine. Whereas competitively, you're like, wow, that's complete garbage. It gets shut down by everything. I would never run that deck, right? So I think sometimes, I know it's super hard, but it's just to like step away of like understanding, like, does every deck need to be kind of tier 1, or are like tier 1 for like the crazy competitive folks who just want to grind it out all day? I don't know why I thought of that, but
that makes
think
sense.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, of like, okay, if yellow needs a floodgate and it does only go to Sin Shenron, A, that would suck, but B, it's like, I don't know what's going on in their heads of whether or not they're trying to like make it fun. And because sometimes it's fun to play just tier 2 versus tier 2, right? Like when I play Rainbow, it's like, it would suck to go up against Vegex who would just maul me, but it's kind of fun to go up against, Harudegarn or what have you. That's just a little slower pace, just kind of knowing like, hey, what level deck are you playing? That's the power level that I'm going to play as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, just thought of that.
No, it's a good point. But I think that my tie to Gotenks is because that was the deck when like the first cards were spoiled from set 10. Like that's what I was excited for, because I thought it was going to be like this really cool like drop recursion hit and run deck. Because when they showed us the 4 drops, it was send this card to the bottom of your deck, bring 2 pieces back from your drop as an activate main. So I was like, oh, dope. So it's like, it's not a go wide deck. Like there's nothing in the game that was like that. And I was excited to see what that kind of deck could do, as far as like, you do your Union Fusion, give your leader crit, swing with the guy that you Union fused, bottom them, pull your pieces back, set up for next turn type of thing. Like a really fast, like just like spam, boom, don't give them targets for all like their pop effects, all that stuff. I was like, this is going to be really fun to play. And then it was just garbage. And I was like, well, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. And it had the potential to be it, which makes me sad. Huh?
Counterplays. I was like,
oh yeah, no, if counterplays didn't exist, the deck would be fine.
But, oh yeah. And what's the worst one? God Sealing. I'd give up Frieza if God Ceiling went too. Right away. Hands down. Sign me
You
up.
don't play green.
Robert's
Cell
like,
Surge.
Robert's
You
like,
have
why
not
would
played
you
Soul
give up
Surge
in the
Frieza
past
if you
2
gave up
months.
God
Who
Ceiling?
are you?
It's like you
Who
play the
are you?
Jeeks, dude.
I play Cell Surge. I still
You play
have that
Vegex. You
deck.
play meta. You
Again,
you
if we
agreed
were
to the meta
playing-
pack. You sold
yeah.
your soul.
If you weren't running SS3 into my face every
SS3
freaking
is
day,
not meta.
and actually, Dane, I just played you with Cell Surge. We went 5 rounds without playing a battle card. You forget that? You forget
Yeah,
that?
I tuned that out of my memory. It was fucking miserable.
I'm intrigued. Please tell me you
And
recorded
we
it.
have that footage, and I'm not gonna. I'm
There's
not gonna
footage.
publish it because
If there's enough demand,
You have to leave a comment in the comments saying you want to see a 5-round game with no battle cards played. We'll release the footage. We just need 5 comments. 5.
release the tape.
I will make
Release the
5
tape.
different accounts.
It was terrible. I literally had I had 7 life or 7 cards underneath my quickening. It was Majin Vegeta versus Cell Surge, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because he's just gonna floodgate his board. I'm just gonna keep swinging out of double strike.
And I was like, dude, just play something.
He couldn't play any battle cards because they were all contingent on him popping my battle cards, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna play.
Robert's gonna have to.
Dane's
Robert's
like,
gonna have to, he's gonna have to build like something in to give a battle card to you. It is Cell Surge.
Take it, please.
So with all of that, with like the speculation, now we'll come to since we're coming up, it's like a holiday season, right? So we're gonna do the holiday wish list. So the first thing is, and this is gonna be the thing that I think Bergie's gonna be really good at, because this is what Bergie does in the group chat constantly, is give me something you wish for that you know won't happen, but you really want it to happen.
Ban God Ceiling.
I want them to not only make Blue Gogeta good. I want that deck to exist, and I want it to be good. I want a card for SS3 that just draws me cards on 2 energy.
Bandai, if you're listening, Gogeta Blue is one of those decks that you can just make for kitchen table gaming. Just
You know what? I'm
hot
fine with
garbage
that. I'll play it. I
competitively.
don't care. I can throw baby hats and Obunis in there. I'll be fine.
So here's the issue, right? Is one thing that we've learned with Bergie, he says he wants a good Gogeta. The problem is Bergie, if it doesn't feel like it can be tier 1, Bergie will like throw it to the roadside, like he will abandon that thing so fast.
I play
Like-
Red Gogeta.
Is it
Who cares?
visibly
Without-
broken? Does it do things that other people will hate me for doing? No.
SS3
I
does
want a
not
good
do
one.
that.
It absolutely does. You literally
No, it
broke
doesn't.
my hip.
I don't force you to not swing.
You
I never
literally
force you to do
broke my
anything.
hip.
You are slightly
Like I
inclined
had
to
to
not
use like
attack
a
me.
massage gun for like half an hour because you just kicked my ass so hard through the
willed yourself
through
out. I
the
did nothing with
computer that my back hurt. Like I threw out my hip from getting mauled through the computer. So if anybody wants to beat Vegex, just reach out to Bergie.
Bergie is like, SS3 is super fair. Also,
It's
Bergie,
great.
turn
It
3
is. Kill me
floodgate, turn
for
4
2.
floodgate, turn 5 floodgate, turn 6
See, the
floodgate,
issue
turn
is that's
7 floodgate, turn
4.
8
You
floodgate.
have 3
Nope,
turns
turn
to
9
go.
floodgate. I'm not done. Turn 10 floodgate. There is
Oh, and then
never a
baby hatch.
turn that goes by
shouted.
that doesn't
Baby
floodgate
Hatch
you
is
starting on
a
turn 2.
floodgate. Just FYI, if you were curious, Berg, that
I
counts.
love baby hatch.
It's
Yeah.
it's miserable. Okay, so Robert said he wants to ban God Ceiling as his wish list that he knows won't happen. That's fair.
Yep.
Dane, do you have a wish list item that you probably won't happen, but you really wish for?
I think I'm pretty happy, honestly, with like what my decks have for toys. Just kidding, just thought of it. I would really love Wish support. When you guys mentioned that, I was like, I'd be so happy because for people that don't know, Bergie had said something prior to this about how we wanted to talk about the desires we wanted from next set. And immediately, like Blake, I think it was you in the chat who said something. You were like, I know what you meant by desires, but like as a Wish player, I have a different idea of what you mean. And that would also be awesome. I would love that. I would love to see Wish just like randomly get like some really cool support. Like every color get a new desire that just like updates what they can do. That would be super sick.
Because
I'm with you
then
there.
Rangers need something more gross.
it needs to be better for sure.
Here's the thing, right? It's like if here's the thing, like since we've started, I think Robert's first deck was Wish. Like he played the Shenron.
It was. I remember
true.
I was at the
Constructed.
store when he bought it, and he
Yeah.
just looked over
So,
at
like-
me with a handful of like 15 cards. Like, look how many cards I get.
Which, to be fair,
I get a full deck.
it was. To be fair, it was like that was a product of the fact that we played a game that had a very limited and constricted hand size and a very, very minimal draw effect. So like coming over to a game where we're like, oh my God, you look at all these cards I have in my hand. I have like 11 cards. You're just giggling like an idiot. And people are looking at you that are like Dragon Ball players. They're like, this is what we do, man. We just draw cards like absolute psychopaths. It's like, what's the effect on that card? Draw. I just draw every turn. I draw like 11 cards all the time. And so like that was Robert's first deck. Bergie, I don't think has ever played a Wish deck, but
Bergie's
Dane and I
first
have
deck was
tried.
Invoker. Yeah.
No, my first deck
Yeah.
was SS3, technically.
Oh God.
It was what?
Yeah, that's fair.
It was
It was
SS3, the
SS3.
reboot deck that
He
I'm
played
playing.
SS3.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
With like
So,
at all costs
but-
Vegeta. Throw myself to
but-
one.
But Dane and I have always had a fascination with Wish decks, and I have played 3 or 4 different Wish leaders because I just like it's fun. Like it's fun to play
Mhm.
Dragon Balls and do your ultimate. Like all that stuff is fun, and it's so thematically correct for like what Dragon Ball is that should be a part of the game. And I'm actually sad that they've kind of always made it a point to say like, yeah, Wish leaders are a thing we did, but we're not going to go back to them.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool, whether it's at 12, which I probably
Throw in,
isn't,
like,
but
2
like
new cards. Give every color
Yeah.
10 cards. Just
one
give every
one
color
new desire
a
card
new
or something.
tutor for balls and a new desire. That's
Yeah.
it.
It
Just do
would
that.
be it would just be cool. It would be a really cool nod that because there are people who still play. Like I picked up Trader Dende literally like
Except
a
for
few
yellow.
weeks ago.
Don't give
It's-
yellow. Like, yellow Wish can just stick with what it's got. Like that's
I
fine.
just want to say, like, both your Wish decks just like curb stomp me on a regular basis. So I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm
like-
okay with one, and Dundee Rangers is the other. So
No, fun fact, that deck that Robert played, this first deck ever, was the first deck I ever played, and it was Jake that I played against. And he like taught me the ropes. Jake from our locals here. We
nice.
Yes.
sat down. I remember walking into the shop and being like, I'm trying this game. What do I buy? And they're like, get the Gogeta starter and the Shenron starter, and you can make like a competitive deck from that.
And that's exactly what Dane told me to get. But I only bought the Shenron starter for some reason.
I also only bought the Shenron starter.
Outcast, baby.
That answers my question for me wanting Gogeta cards for blue.
Yeah. So then now that we have like the we know it's not gonna happen, what is like a realistic thing that you want that you actually think could happen in set 12?
Rainbow support. Oh wait, I guess I have to start in the middle like that. Like
Robert
SpongeBob.
just did the McDonald's M. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The SpongeBob now.
There you go. Dane, is there something you think like realistically set 12 could give you that would make you happy?
Give me a yellow Capsule Corp field that lets me pull teen Go Tanks from the bottom of my deck once per turn.
I was kind of
be
on
good.
board as saying something Go Tanks related because like I would say something with Sin, but that's just like overkill because I know that's coming. Like they've made it very clear that Shadow Dragon. So it's like I'm not gonna wish for something because that's beyond realistic. It's actually happening.
Like sitting
I
under the
would
tree with 4,000 presents. He's like, "Here, Dane, you can open one."
Or like if that field, if it wasn't that, just something that bolsters Go Tanks. So it's like if it
Mhm.
when a Go Tanks leaves your battle area, it gets placed in the bottom of your deck instead. So it's like if it gets popped or KO'd immediately from literally pretty much any counterplay, it just goes to the bottom of the deck instead of to the drop. Like that's something to support Go Tanks. I don't care. Let's make my wish real, or just give me wishes.
I just want blue Gogeta. That's all. I don't care if it's good. I just want blue Gogeta.
That's a bold-faced lie because you literally said, "I want a good blue Gogeta."
Well, you know what? He's on the box.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be good, but I know for a fact he's gonna be in the set. Hopefully.
I love the fact that
so,
they're
like-
different Gogetas because that's Gogeta BR and the Gogeta on the box is not Gogeta BR.
Janemba.
So you're not
No,
going
it's
to be able
Janemba.
to play. Yeah. you're not going to be able to play them together. But
Yeah, they're gonna all be broken apart. But
Yeah.
I think a Go Tanks. I think it'd be cool to get a little bit of support, kind of like they did with the expansion. If they would continue to do some of that and nod some of the decks that maybe need a little help in the next set, like you can keep bolstering, like allowing some top decks to stay around from set to set. But if you could also, if they could simultaneously almost do what they did with the expansion and just kind of give a couple cards, because they did that with multicolor, right? Like they kind of gave multicolor a little bit. And I
they
think
gave Invoker a new toy. They can give some of these other archetypes new toys.
If they would do something where like they like the field said, when you play a Go Tanks card via Union Fusion with a Union Fusion skill, draw one card. So that way, basically, like you draw two off of the card that's played, or one off the card that's played, and then another one. So that way, it would give it more draw power. It could be more consistent.
I would rather have it
Like-
have protection. But
Yeah, I mean, even that, even if it said like, even if there was a field or a unison that said like, if a Go Tanks card is removed or KO'd by your opponent's skill, you get to take the Union Fusion pieces back and place the Go Tanks on the bottom of the deck.
Robert, you had a question?
I did. I actually got super excited when you were mentioned kind of protecting your pieces and stuff like that. This may be actually on the wish list as opposed to what I think will realistically get. But if there was a black field, make it cost 2. I think if it cost 3, nobody would want it. But if you paid 2 once per turn, you can activate it and give a card deflect or give a card barrier for the turn. That would be dope, and then we wouldn't have to ban God Sealing technique. I think because
If you
everyone
just
can
like
say you
on
could-
demand, that would be running every deck. But
I think so. But
Who specified? Make it specified black, or make it. Here's a
no,
better
'cause
one.
that's just good for Vajix. Don't do that.
Well,
No,
but okay, but what if
Make
but
it when
here's a better
when you
one,
burst
because-
it, put it into play. Yeah.
Hold on though. Here's a solution for you. All right, you ready? I came up with a solution. 2 specified black only affects cards played via Overrealm. When a card is played via the Overrealm skill, it gains the keyword deflect for the turn.
No.
But here's the thing,
just
though.
mentioned
It doesn't help Vegex, because Vegex doesn't Overrealm late enough for it to
Yeah,
matter.
that's fair.
But it once per turn, it would protect decks that want to play Overrealm, because that's the issue right now. Is like 100%. God Sealing is the reason people don't play Overrealm decks, and it's unfortunate that a deck can't be played because of one card. Like one card literally takes an entire archetype out of the game.
Just wait for Broly to crush blue, and then you'll be fine.
I think that
That's
plus
what I'm
2
going
unisons
for.
have always been a mistake, and they shouldn't have existed from the first place.
Yeah, I mean, plus 2
Especially
unisons
when they're
are
15 or
really
more.
the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. A
Give the most
15
broken,
Unisons should have a +2 if they're a 5K,
And even
because
then-
because everything hits it. Like anything can deal damage to it effectively, but like as soon as a unison gets to 10K, it should not have a +2 under any circumstances, because
much less
10K up
15.
just makes it so you can't hit it with certain cards. Like
Shit, that
literally
was
some cards can't
so
attack it.
silly.
I don't know if it would be a field, but like, we don't necessarily have the mechanic where you play a card before you play a card, which I think other games kind of have. So I'm just thinking, is there a way? Because not a ton of cards don't have deflect or don't have barrier, and I understand why. Like, it's super powerful keyword. But that being said, is like, you just can't play around God Sealing Trunks because it's a 0 cost. I have an unkillable unison. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you just can't play around it, and it just shuts down anything that doesn't have deflect, no matter what. Which is
I think those
bullshit.
cards immediately become staples, though. But if they're willing to bring the game that way, but so like I just had a whole thought train in my own head. But like if you had like an extra card that said it's like cost 2, the next battle card you play has deflect.
Yeah.
Just make
Just
it an extra card.
something that makes it
Yeah.
something that makes things more viable. And then I think the nice thing is, at this point, they have actually made they've set a precedence for certain things that they're willing to bring into the game as new mechanics, but they've done them on a very small scale. and like specified black, they've done it on a very small scale, like it's not a lot of cards, and the slash scale, so like blue or green, or like something like that. I think it's interesting. I think those are mechanics that I think those are actually things we'll probably see more of in set 12, is more specified black cards and maybe a handful of cards that have either or options for energy to be paid,
And I
which I
think
think it would be cool.
honestly, if it was an extra card that did it, it's pretty fair. Because what if your opponent doesn't have a God Sealing Technique? You paid 2 energy to literally do nothing.
To guarantee that you're safe going into blue. Like that'd be sometimes worth it. Yeah.
Maybe make it a unison minus, like a -2 on your unison deflect.
I like
Two
it more as like
specified
a
cost.
supplemental thing. Because then you got to run like a playset of that unison.
Yeah,
and it's like
running a
wants to
playset.
run a different unison.
Yeah. Running and running an extra card. I think anytime you put it on an extra card, it makes it so you really have to value the effect, because it can just absolutely be dead. Like if you and it becomes all in certain matchups, it's literally going to be charge fodder, which you never want to, because then if you draw into 2 of them in your opening hand after your mulligan, like it just feels so trash. If you're like playing red, you're like, well, I don't need deflect into this color, like it becomes like this weird thing where like it can really clunk hard, but if it gives you protection into blue and your worst matchup is blue, or it's stuff like that is interesting. And I do hope they explore they've done a really good job of exploring new mechanics and adding things, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start to see some of that stuff. So do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we close?
We don't have time. Gavin just sent us a message talking about Digimon versus DBS.
that's a whole. I mean,
that's a whole
That's
episode.
We will, if nobody has any further comments or massive wishes, we will call it an evening. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. Hit the bell. You'll get notifications. We have been recording gameplay. We have more coming. We will continue to record it. We've been getting setups going so that way both Dane and myself can record stuff. So we're going to try and just keep pushing out gameplay. As when the new set drops, we will have a ton of it. Maybe we'll get together if society so allows and people can quit being idiots. And maybe we can get together and do a box opening as a team, and that would be kind of cool. Or like a box opening weekend tournament with new cards, get gameplay up like right away. That'd be super cool. We will try and do our best, but we just appreciate everybody listening. Thanks for joining us. Continue to hang out, and we appreciate it. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Have a
you
good
guys.
one.